Everybody have their coffee that you need to get through the morning? I have been going since my first cup was 7:05. Been going pretty hard since. I'm a little jittery. Okay. So I want to ask the question. We didn't get to the end of it last week. I cannot stay on Melchizedek, but go to Hebrews chapter 5 really quick. Who cares? Who cares that we learned about Melchizedek last week? Like, who cares if we are making a connection between Jesus and Melchizedek? So I want you to answer that question. Why do we need to see it? And does it really matter that we're looking at these things? Is it important to us? So go ahead and answer that question before we begin our lesson today.
In the broadest sense, it's another tie back to the Old Testament.
It's a tie back to the Old Testament for us to understand Old Testament. Absolutely.
Well, but I think more importantly, it's a tie. If we understand the Old Testament, we understand the New Testament better.
I agree with that 100%. If you understand the Old Testament, it is very easy to understand the New Testament because, I mean, well, I don't have time. What else do you see?
It's another proof. I mean, the more, kind of going along with what Jeff said, the more you understand how the New Testament relates to the Old Testament, the more we can understand the truth that all of this is real.
Mm-hmm. What's absolutely incredible, and I forgot what the statistic was. I used to have had it memorized. But for a person to fulfill every single Old Testament prophecy to, dot the I, cross the T, and it happens, it's like, it can't happen, right? But when you see it just play out, it's incredible. Well, let me ask you this question. It's very important that Jesus becomes, remember we talked about prophet, priest, and king? It's very important that he becomes our high priest. Why? Why is it so important? I think last week we did a really good job to demonstrate how he connects back to Melchizedek and how it works out perfectly that he can become our high priest, right? Not from the tribe of Levi, but he's from the tribe of Judah. But why is it so important that he is our high priest? Hebrews chapter 4, verses 14 to the end would help you with that. We talked about it briefly last week on our Sunday morning service, and that might give you that answer.
The high priest is responsible for atonement.
The high priest was responsible for that atonement. So what happened on the Day of Atonement? Can you guys run me through that really, really fast? Day of Atonement.
High priest would enter and get atonement for his sins and then go back out and get atonement for the people's sins?
Yeah, so there's a lot of blood involved. What animal is it? Lamb, yeah. So he first goes in. So where does he go into? That's interesting.
Holy of Holies.
What's inside the Holy of Holies? What is it? The Ark of the Covenant. What's inside the Ark of the Covenant? I did a sermon on this. 10 Commandments. There's a couple other things. Aaron's staff, and there's some other stuff. What's most important is the 10 Commandments. Why is that so important? That's law. How is God going to judge us with his what? His law, Jesus' words. You go to the New Testament, we find that, right? So what happens in the Old Testament, the high priest goes at the Ark of the Covenant, he first gives atonement for his sins, goes away, comes back, and he gives atonement for the people's sins on the Ark of the Covenant. Because on the top of the covenant, what is it? What's there? I can't hear you. The mercy seat. Okay? Kadesh. You want to know what the Hebrew is? It's not really. It's not a definition of that word. It's actually describing what's going on there, which is interesting if you look into that. But this is where God is sitting, above the law, looking at his people. The high priest walks in, puts the blood on the on the top of the mercy seat, and is giving atonement. What's the New Testament word for Kadesh? You should know this very well. It's my sermon that I did. Jesus starts with a P, and nobody can really pronounce it or probably understand what it is. Propitiation. Same word. Now, I don't want to get really into this, because when we go to the tabernacle and the temple, I'm going to show you how it's all pointing to Christ. But you have this high priest. You have a high priest that enters into the Holy of Holies, to the throne of God, and intercedes for his people. Now, what do you have with Jesus for us? Because of his death, burial, resurrection, and his blood, what do we have now?
Eternal atonement.
Eternal atonement. He stands now before, and he says, yes, you have the right to judge, and you will judge by my law, by your words, but I will place my blood. And instead of seeing the law, they see Jesus Christ, and we have forgiveness. Is that not amazing? So when you understand Melchizedek, just opens up everything and what he was actually trying to do. Okay.
John?
Yeah.
I had a quick question. You may not want to get into this, or you may or may not want to get into it, or you may... I'm just wondering, have you ever talked to, or... what? Sorry, I'm throwing my hands around. Like a Jewish person, or we feel a certain way, and it's different for us, because that's not our... that's not where we come from. But how do they feel about it? I don't guess I've ever...
Are you talking about like Orthodox Jew that do not believe that Jesus is the Messiah? Or are you talking about a Jew that is a Christian who believes that he is the Messiah? So there's two different categories.
Right.
Which one do you want?
Probably the second one would relate more to how...
The second one is an amazing. If you ever teach a Bible class, and I've done this, you need to call your local synagogue or Jewish rabbi. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing. You want to understand the history and how does a Jew perceive things? I had one. I shouldn't say that. I got a Jew back where I used to be. But there was a rabbi up in Wichita Falls, and I did call him. I'm like, hey, I'm reading this passage. I'm really struggling with it because I don't understand. Can you walk me through it? Opens up your eyes. The other side, when you're talking to somebody who doesn't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, that's a hard conversation. You need to come prepared for that one. Okay? But if they're a Messianic Jew, it's unbelievable to open up your eyes. Really good stuff. Okay, we're going to get into this. We need to get into this. Genesis chapter 22. Put your finger there. We're going to be there all day. Genesis chapter 22. This is how we're going to handle our lesson today. Again, if you're new to us, we're doing type and antitype. Type is something that's in the Old Testament. It's foreshadowing something into the New Testament. And what we're trying to see is how everything links to Jesus Christ. Okay, this will be our last story before we get into Moses. And we're going to leave everything there. We get to the time of Moses. And we're going to jump to Exodus pretty quick. Look at Moses. Look at a few things there. But this is how I want you to handle the story. I want us to slowly walk through the order. I know what we like to do is like, hey, I know this. Here's my knowledge. Right? I don't need that. I'm going to walk through the story and I want to show you how it relates to Christ. Okay? Can we do that slowly? Maybe there's going to be a couple of verses that we find here that we didn't really think about or we didn't see before, and I want to take some time and look at those. Okay? Now, what you're going to have to do when we get down here on the Jesus side, you're going to have to use your knowledge and your Bible knowledge to find me the passages that go along with what we're talking about. Okay? So we're going to have some fun. This is fun. Are you excited? I'm telling you, I've been waiting for this all week, for this time to get. I mean, I'm looking forward to worship. I get it before it's going to God. But this was my time I'm really looking forward to it with you guys. All right. So let's go ahead and start. Somebody want to start reading Genesis chapter 22. Let's just read. If somebody will read through verse 8.
Now it came about after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains on which I will tell you. So Abraham got up early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him and his son Isaac. And he split wood for the burnt offering, and set out and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place from a distance. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey, and I and the boy will go over there, and we will worship and return to you. And Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac, and took in his hand the fire and the knife. So the 2 of them walked on together. Isaac spoke to his father Abraham and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. So the 2 of them walked on together.
So good, right? So walk me through it. Start in the very beginning. I'm looking at verse 2 is what I really need. I know that God is going to come to Abraham, but in verse 2, what happens? Verse 2. Anytime you're ready, I mean, this is your class. I mean, I know what I want to say.
God tells.
Okay, you're right. You're right on the money. I'm going to put a 2 here in parentheses so you know what we're talking about. But I want you to look at the terminology within it. What does he say about his son? How does he call him? How does he say him? Only son. Okay, so not only do you have O-N, that's an N-L-Y, only son, but there's more to it. Tell me more about that son. There's more in that verse.
Whom you love.
What?
Whom you love.
Whom you love. So not only, but love. Anybody have another word instead of love, or a word that's added to that? Another version? What about NASB? Anybody NASB in here?
It says whom you love.
Whom you love?
Whom you love.
Okay.
Love so much.
Love so much. It really kind of goes back to that beloved feeling is what we're going for here, okay? Is your mind going at all for the bottom line yet? So, how does this link to Jesus Christ? Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go all the way through this whole story. How does this link? When you hear, take your son, your only son, whom you love, what passages can you think of when it comes to Jesus?
John 3:16.
John 3:16 is perfect. John 3:16. What does it say?
God so loved the world
You.
that he gave his one of us.
His one and only son, or his begotten son. Okay? What does the word begotten mean? Huh? Give him birth to, yes. He's yours. His begotten son, not Mary's begotten son. Whose son? God's. I begotten him. So, I mean, if you think about this is my only son, and I'm giving him to you. Okay? And so we have one and only son whom I love, John 3:16. Any other verses that you can think of that you can bring into a lesson here? My one and only, this is my son in whom I love. Where is it? Hey, one at a time. I'm really bad at that part. What is it? Say what?
Mark 1:11.
What does it say?
And the voice came from heaven, you are my beloved son, with you I am well pleased.
Give me, what's going on? That's baptism?
Yeah,
What, give me that one again.
Mark 1:11.
Okay, Mark 1:11, good.
It's also in Matthew 3:17.
Yeah, it's going to be in several of the Gospels. Yeah. So you have this incredible moment that Jesus is baptized by John the Baptist. He comes out of the water. What happens? There's a bunch of stuff. What happens? There's a dove, like a dove. It's not a dove. It's like a dove that descends out of the heaven. And then you hear this voice. I'm not going to lie. Good ringtone, not so good for Bible class. You have this voice that says, "This is my son, whom I am well pleased." So you have Father, Son, Holy Spirit that happens here. The Holy Spirit is blessed upon Christ at this point. Okay, is there another passage that you can think of here? You can go to other passages like you crucified his only son. You can go to those passages as well. Okay, I want you to go again slowly through the story. What happens next? What happens next in Genesis chapter 22? This is my son.
Give him as an offering.
He's going to give him as an offering. Yes, that's what he says. Offer him there as a burnt offering. So we're going to offer. So you're going to have sacrifice. Okay, what else you got?
He loaded the wood onto his son. His son had to carry the wood.
Absolutely. I want to go, before we get there, I want to go before that. I want you to see a few things as well. There is travel involved. How do you spell travel? G-R-A-V-E? Travel involved. Tell me about the travel. There's a donkey? What? You're right. There's a donkey. What else? There's more, guys. There's more.
They went 3 days.
There's 3 days travel. See, this is the stuff that we look at. We want to jump to the wood, and that's great. I'm not against that at all. But there's so much wealth within the little verses. Tell me something else about the travel.
There's 2 young men with him.
There's what?
There's 2 young men with him.
There are other people with him.
Well, I was like, there's 2 young men with Isaac, and then there's 2 men with Jesus later on the cross.
Peter, James, and John.
Well, I was going for more like this.
Oh, thief on the cross.
Yeah.
See, we weren't thinking on the right way. That's good, though. I like it. I'm not going to put it up here, but I like it. Well done. But okay, go ahead. What else? Give me something else. Where are they going? Does it tell us this one, or am I too far forward? To the mountain of what? Moriah. I just got to know how to spell it. Tell me what the mountain, how to spell it?
Moriah.
Moriah. Okay, Mount Moriah. That's important, really, really, really important. Anything else that we find about the travel?
The literal translation says that God caused him to ascend there for a burnt offering.
Oh, ascend. I'm going to put that. Is that how you spell it, or is there 2 C's?
A-S-C.
Huh?
A-S-C. There you go.
That's not bad. 1 letter off. So they ascended there. Good, good. Anything else that you find in this? Don't go any further. Okay, show me the passages down here on the red. Christ. What's really interesting, if you look at Christ's life, I'm going to come back to the sacrifice part. Okay, I'm not leaving it. It does play out really well here, but also some other places. When you look at the Gospel of Luke, it's a really important passage that you find. And I got to try. It's not in my notes. Where's my notes? he sets his face towards Jerusalem. Find that passage for me. Luke. You're going to have to find that one. My mind went blank. But this is the moment when in Jesus' ministry, and this is what Luke does in his gospel. He does a fantastic job. Fairly early on, he says he sets his face towards Jerusalem. Up to this point, he did all his ministry up in Galilee, and now we're getting the story of journeying back to Jerusalem, okay? And he's going to come back, and it's going towards the Passover and the end of his life. But he sets his face towards Jerusalem. It's not 3 days, it's a much, much longer. But for me, extremely important because we're setting our face to a place. We're going to a place. Now, this is also interesting. Go to 2 Chronicles chapter 3 and verse 1, someone. 2 Chronicles chapter 3 and verse 1.
Luke 9:51.
What is it?
Luke 9:51.
That's it, yeah, good. So 2 Chronicles, I'm just going to put it up here. What did I say to you? 3:1. Somebody read that. I think I have the right verse.
Then Solomon began to build the house of the Lord in Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where the Lord had appeared to David his father at the place that David had appointed on the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite.
What? What's built at Moriah?
The temple.
No, well, it is the temple, but where is this located? What city is on Mount Moriah? Jerusalem. You guys, are you seeing this at all? Some of this I understand that you see it. I just get the goosebumps every time I talk about it. Because I'm thinking, my goodness, Abraham and Isaac, way back when, are going to the same place Jesus is setting his face towards as well. Jerusalem.
Jesus rides on a donkey in Luke 19
Yes, Luke 19, good. The donkey.
into Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm. That was a good sermon, December. One of my favorites, actually. So we have him riding on the donkey. We're going to Mount Moriah. What we understand that this is Jerusalem, of where this is all taking place. Okay? And then you're going to also ascend. Everybody goes up to Jerusalem. You ever notice that in Scripture? Yes? You always go up to Jerusalem. It's the mountain, but it's very sacred. And so you're always ascending towards Jerusalem. Very good, very good. Now let's keep going with our story. Really good stuff. Joseph, I talked about it already. You talked about the wood. That Isaac is going to carry the wood. Come back down here. I want you to tell me where in Jesus' life that is happening. Correct, and it is the cross, but where is that happening? Book, chapter, verse, please.
In John 19:17.
What does it say?
Susan told me to say.
That's also Luke
23. Luke 23, okay. Luke 23. What does it say, though? Come on, I want to hear the passages. What does it say? If you have the Luke 23, that's fine. If you have the...
When they led him away, they seized a man, Simon of Cyrene, as he was coming in from the country, and placed on him the cross to carry behind Jesus.
There you go. So there's a cross. It's not the full cross. You guys know that? It's just the horizontal beam that's on his back, probably. A lot of people will think it's the full cross. A lot of weight there to be pulling. It's probably just the cross beam there. And they're going to place that on the vertical beam and then hammer him onto there. That's my opinion. You can take that. You can leave it. If you say, John, I will die on my deathbed and say it's the full cross, I'll be like, okay. I think it's the cross beam, but that's fine. But he's carrying the wood. Now, it's interesting. They're carrying the wood, right? And so Isaac said to us, so he's doing the same thing. Christ is carrying the wood for his sacrifice as well. Isaac's smart, right? This kid is no dummy. So what's he doing? He's walking along here, and Abraham's going to look at everybody else and say, you stay here. I'm going to show you this as well. And we're going to go along, okay? And Abraham took the wood and the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took his hand, the fire. Am I gone too far? Yes, look at verse 7. And Isaac said to his father, my father, and he says, here am I, my son. I don't talk to my son like that, but that's cool. Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And then God is going to say, and then Abraham's going to say, God will provide. That is huge. That is huge. So you have this sacrifice. I'm going to come back to this sacrifice again. But there's just this incredible moment when it says God, woo, that's bad, will provide.
John, is that one of those times we can tell our kids the truth, but maybe not the whole truth?
Dude, that's not my class right now. Of course, we understand that Jesus is that's what Jesus is. God is providing that sacrifice through Jesus Christ, right? But God is going to provide. We're going to see this a little bit.
John,
Yeah.
before that, Abraham, he tells the men to stay there, he said, we will come back. We
Mm-hmm.
will come back.
You jump into the end. You're killing me. I said we'll go through the story. No, you're right. You're right. You know, you need to go to Hebrews, and he talks about there like he believed in like he's going to have him resurrected. It's interesting because not a lot of people are resurrected, right? So we don't. You know, the Hebrew writer saying some stuff there that it's pretty hard concepts for Abraham to grasp onto. But yeah, you're right. We're going to come back. So he understands this, praying that God is going to provide something here, whatever that was going to be. What's also interesting, it's the Father, Son alone facing this. Have you noticed that ever? It's just God and Jesus, right? So where does that happen? It's the garden, right? So you have the wood. I'm going to put alone, A-L-O-N. Just God. And I'm sorry, this is Abraham. This is Abraham and son, right? Alone. And then you still have this down here. You have them in the garden. And, yes, I do understand that Peter, James, and John go a little farther into the garden with him. But then what does he do? He breaks away from them, and he goes even further into the garden, and he's praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. What does he pray?
Matthew 26.
Matthew what?
26.
Matthew 26. But what does he pray? Tell me that.
Take the cup away from these.
Yes, he says. Now, a lot of people will look at that and say he's trying to get out of it. That's a hard sell on me. But what does he say at the end? This is why it's a hard sell. Not my will. It's your will, right? This is your will. So that's going to be God's will, okay? They're going to go alone, but they are walking together through this. Jesus is on the cross. What does he yell out? Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani. Means what? Very well done mumbling. I will interpret your mumble to my God, why have you forsaken me? What is he saying? After Jesus takes on all the sin, what does he have to do? It's broken. It's a broken relationship. Oh, so good, right? But they're going to walk alone to the beginning, to the very end of this. We'll see this as this plays out. God is going to provide. They're walking alone. And Isaac is asking some seriously good questions. Okay? So they came to the place.
John?
Yeah.
I've never noticed where it said that Abraham carried the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just some commentary or just some detail, but do you think there's anything with that Abraham carried the fire in the night? It makes a distinction that he's doing that and that Isaac's carrying the wood. I don't know what that means, but.
Anybody else? Come on. You guys jump in. What do you think? Can you see anything? The father, having to do it, having to, follow through. That's really strong, right? It's the father with the weapons to have to implement, but the son is taking the sacrifice on. It's really good. Good job. That was almost board worthy.
Almost made the board.
Almost made the board. Whoa. That would have been green, but it would have been good. All right. No, that's really good. That's really good. I didn't see that. Well done. Somebody else read me 9 through, let's just run down to verse 14. 9 through 14. Might be too much, but that's all right.
And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built the altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son.
Hold on. Let's stop right there. Okay, we're not going to go any further. Have you ever took the time really to really picture this moment? I know you've listened to the sermons, right? I know we've broken it down as good preachers and told you what's going on here. But come on. Traveling 3 days with your kid, you know what you're going to do. That was hard enough. Now you're alone with your kid. You walk up the mountain. Now you're building the altar. And we just walk through. We just pass this and go, oh yeah, it's an altar. What are you going through in your mind with your kid? How's your faith? I'm asking a question to the class. What does your faith look like? Because I know what my faith looks like, but I'm curious about what your faith looks like.
I'm having trouble raising the knife.
I'm having trouble building the altar. You know?
I can't speak from a mother's perspective, but I mean, trying to pick up the wood, place it on the altar, trying to get, even if your mind's in the right place, trying to get your body to physically do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's broken, he's crying, he's shaking. I mean, oof.
Mm.
Well, think about what that means too. It's an altar. He's supposed to be worshiping, right?
Good.
How difficult would that be?
I think Isaac is older than we typically.
Oh, I don't think he's 2 years old.
I think he's a man. I think he's probably a young 20-year-old man.
Okay.
Who can reason. I mean, it's not like you're trying to manipulate a conversation with an 8-year-old. If he carried the wood up the mountain for the altar, he's a strong man. Even if they don't really talk about it, he knows. I mean, he's watched his father build altars all his life.
Yeah, this is not the first altar they built because they built altars to God to worship in the past.
But it's the first one they don't have a lamb.
Yeah, it's the first one that you don't have the sacrifice with you. Absolutely.
It's always fascinated me, there's no recorded resistance on the part of Isaac. You know?
I know, but I know my own kids. I can't even take them to Walmart without them fussing. Right? It's like, do I have to go? Yeah, but what do you think about that?
Asked about the sacrifice.
Huh?
Much less Isaac has already asked, where's the lamb?
Mm-hmm.
And now his dad's tying him up. You know, it's hard to imagine that there's not words or struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think going back to what you were saying, and I'm going to try and put everything together here. I think what you're talking about here, I believe what God is trying to demonstrate to us is that this thing right here, of your will be done, not mine. You don't get the recorded of Isaac trying to run away, Isaac trying to do these things. If this is what's supposed to happen, then this happens. You know, and it just goes along with the story that we're talking about all the way through this, that God is going to provide for here.
It had to be agonizing to know where this could end and would probably end. Why is God telling me to do this if I'm not going to be asked to do it? And then you kind of correlate that to Jesus in the garden and the sweat drops of blood and the agony that he went through. I mean, it's not just a flippant. I mean, how quickly did the Israelites turn on God? Give me food, they were complaining constantly.
Yeah.
And here you have one son, and the process that you went through to get that one son, the time that it took, and now the 3-day journey, and I mean, it had to be agonizing.
It is. And I think, so what does that tell you? What can you maybe glean from that, from trying to understand what maybe God, and I don't want to put words or feelings where we don't have, right? But God understands. I mean, how easy is this for God to watch his son?
Torture.
I think it would be. I think there is this moment.
I think we look at it from a non-human standpoint.
Why?
Both Abraham and Isaac, well, Abraham had a choice. Jesus had a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so the faith we think of is flipping a switch to turn our faith on, and this is true, deep faith.
This is walking faith, and it's not at the moment. Abraham has had his faults, if you read through Genesis. But man, this is a walking faith that he has. So when God shows up and he says, "This is what I want you to do," he said yes.
And it's the ultimate parenting lesson. We would do anything for our kids as long as it's in God's will. And then that's where every choice that we make aligns with God's will.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Well, and I think too, like, God really explained to Jesus why he had to do it, why he was planning this. And it doesn't, just like it doesn't talk about Isaac fighting back or anything like that, I'm sure it also doesn't talk about Abraham explaining to Isaac that God asked him to do this. So I'm sure he explained it. He didn't just lay him up there and tell him he had to do it.
Yeah.
He fully explained it.
Yeah, we don't have all the conversations that happen between the father son there. But man, we see the actions, right? So just tying him up, we're laying him on the altar, the binding of him being on the altar. So let's go ahead and continue with our story. Go ahead. Somebody can keep reading. I'll tell you to stop.
But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham, here I am, he replied. Do not lay a hand on the boy, he said. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son. Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide. And to this day it is said, on the mountain of the Lord it will be provided.
Do we have to talk about it anymore, or is that just enough to read? I mean, did anybody get a little shiver, like a little excitement of understanding these connections? It's like, what just happened, right? And so Abraham does exactly what God asked him to do. He lifts up the knife. Oh, I can't even fathom the moment. I don't understand, because this is the one thing I know I could not do, is give up my kids. I know that. And so here we have this moment. He's about to do this. And God says, no, now I've seen your faith. I understand your faith. I know you were not going to withhold your son, your only son, from me. Okay? Then Abraham lifted up his eyes and beheld him a ram that was caught in the thicket. All right. So we have a ram.
Is Jesus the angel of the Lord?
I don't know. Who said that? I don't know. What does your commentary say?
It does it. I've studied that. And
Yeah. There's going to be moments when people will say that Jesus was in the furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and it was the angel of the Lord, or they can interpret it as Christ. Was this Christ there? I don't have a great... If somebody else has a better understanding than I do have that, if you like to explain it, go right ahead. Anybody? I apologize. I don't have a great answer. I'll look into that. That's a great question, and I'll look into that.
It's just kind of interesting because Jesus would be witnessing.
Yeah, well, he's there, you know.
Human.
Yeah.
Being willing to do the thing that he was going to be called.
Yeah. He would be there. You know, Trinity and all that. Okay. So you have the ram. What's a cool word in there that we can talk about? What was the ram caught in? Thicket. Right. All right. This is just so good. This is where the good stuff comes. Okay. All right. How can that? Where can we make that understanding of Christ?
Crown of thorns.
Crown of thorns. Okay. Go back to Genesis. What's one of the things that God says that? It's one of the curses that God gives to Adam. What is one of the curses?
The ground will be cursed by thorns.
By thorns. Okay. So there's your curse. Okay. So you have the ram who's caught in the thicket by his horns, his head. Okay. So when you look back and you understand the crown of thorns, what is Jesus taking on his head? The curse that's hammered into him with a rod. You ever seen that? Yes? No? Where are we at? Probably a lot of you probably have. Probably not new. It was when I found out about it, I was like, wow, that's absolutely fantastic. So you have Jesus taking on our curse. And so you have the very same thing here. So you can look at the curse that you have, that Jesus takes on. We have the ram that's caught in the thicket by his head. And then Abraham goes and he gets the ram and he sacrifices the ram. Okay? And you have this incredible, incredible moment of all of this is going on. Let's go ahead and just finish reading some of this Genesis stuff. It's really, really good. And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said to you, by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and not withheld your son, your only son. I will surely bless you, and I will give you, and surely multiply your offspring as the stars of the heaven and the sand of the seashore. And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies. Where's that? His offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies. Where is it?
Jeremiah 33:22.
I'm thinking New Testament, but probably, I think I know what that one is. You want to look at it, it's fine. Where's the gates? Go to Matthew 16, 16 and 17. Matthew 16, 16 and 17. I think I have it right. What does it say? And give me context if you like.
Matthew what?
16, 17 through 19. What does it say?
And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father who is in heaven. And I also say unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose in the earth shall be loosed in heaven.
You throw me down some King James there? All right, I like it. All right. Yeah, so right before that, Jesus, he's asking his disciples, who do people say that I am? They go all the way through that, and he goes, who do you think you're the Son of God? You know, you are the Christ, the Son of God. And he goes, okay, upon this confession, I'm going to build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. There's your connection. And then your offspring shall be all the nations of the earth will be blessed. All the nations, not Jews, not just you, all the nations, because you have obeyed my voice, just as Christ obeyed the voice of God. All nations will be blessed. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went back together to Beersheba, and Abraham lived in Beersheba. Good stuff, eh? Was that fun? Did you like it or no? I'll stop today. We'll go do any more. I'll just do something else. Is that good? Okay, this is what we got to do. We got to shift. I can't stay in Genesis anymore. We're going to shift to Moses. We'll briefly talk about him. What I want to do is a couple things with Moses. How did I do? You ever done that? Like you hit something and you just, woo! That went up my arm. That was cool, but hurt. Okay. So, what was I talking about? Oh, what I want to do, I want to show you Moses briefly, but I want to look at how the Exodus story demonstrates so much from the Old Testament and into the New Testament. I desperately want to show you that. We're going to get into Judges as well, and I'm going to show you the cycle that you constantly see in Judges is the cycle that we deal with in our spiritual walk, all of us in this room right now. We deal with the exact same cycle that they dealt with the people in the book of Judges. But we're going to be looking at Moses. We're going to look at the Exodus as a whole and what that looks like. Then I'm going to break down for you as quickly as I can. I want to look at the high priest with you, what he wears. That's actually really cool. Some of you may not know what he wears. I want to walk through that with you. And I also want to walk through the temple and what's going on in the temple or tabernacle at that time, walking through that. Sometimes, we read those things and you hear about an altar or you hear about the showbread and what is all that. We're going to walk through that. I'm going to break it down for you, show you the different areas, and we'll look at those things, okay? So that's some of the things that we're going to look at. And then about that time, we'll probably need to shut down. I got Monk coming in, and he wants to do a lessons that he's been doing with the college kids for you guys. So we'll see where we are at that point, okay? Questions or comments for today? That's one of my favorite stories. It just demonstrates so much, and you can see how God, the story, going back to what you said earlier, Mr. Reed, if you don't understand the Old Testament, man, when you do, what Christ does just lights up. It's a beacon, and you really see God, you see the character of God, and you really see the character of man, right? You really take a step back and you're like, man, you should get frustrated with ourselves. That's what we should do. Okay, great class. Let's get out of here. Love you. Hey, really quick, a couple announcements. Next week, I am not here. I'm at T3 with our high school students. There is a joint class. Everybody will be in the auditorium. A guy named Steve Holliday is coming, and I really think you need to be there. He's going to be talking about sexuality. This is a taste of what he's going to give us in more detail in March, correct? in March. And so we're going to be all in there. If you have kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, you need to be over there, okay? It is eye-opening when you look at what's going on in our society and how it is influencing our children, okay? Okay? I'll give you one statistic, and it should scare the fire out of you. If you have a little girl, if she is an adolescent, 8 years old, 8, maybe younger, and she has access to phones, there are influencers that's going to teach her that she needs to become a man. Do you know what the percentage is in the United States, how much that area has grown? Give me a number what you think it's grown. 3,000% in the United States. 3,000%. It used to affect 1% of men. It has switched to our girls. It's 3,000%. And this is the, what's the word I'm thinking of? Is the trans movement, dysphoria, help me. Trans dysphoria, that's what's gone up. It's time for us to wake up as Christians. And how do we handle that? And those sermons are coming this year, I think. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I don't get fired. Love you guys. Love you. Get out of here.